Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to talk about, you see it, stop squatting for leg gains. Before I get into this topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas I turn into videos just like this. All right, I am joined by Faz Lifts. You can see down below in his little picture. Faz, thanks for joining me. We're going to cover this. You posted this on your social media, tagged me, and first thing I saw out of bed after I saw my ugly reflection in the mirror was this. Before we get into this, Faz, I want to let anybody know anybody that goes over to Faz's latest video and leaves a comment gets a chance to win a t-shirt shipped anywhere in the world. What's your latest video, Faz?
Latest video is "You Are Not Unique." That's the latest video. Go over there, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and chance to win a t-shirt.
Yep, subscribe, leave a comment, and Faz will pick a winner tomorrow. All right, so Faz, this is on Elite FTS's Instagram. I saw you tag me this morning, and I'm going to read it. It is a quote by Skip Hill. I don't know who Skip Hill is. No offense to Skip Hill. Do you know who Skip Hill is?
Yeah, I know Skip. Skip commentates on a YouTube channel, and he's from Intense Muscle, the forum. So Skip is an old-time bodybuilder. That's all I know about him. All I know is he hosts a sort of a panel with Scott McNally on YouTube. And so he discusses bodybuilding. He's been in the game for a while, but that's all I know about him. And I was surprised by his stance on squats.
All right, so I just want your reactions because before we went on, I reacted. I'm gonna react the same way. So I'm gonna read it. Stop squatting for leg gains? ? There isn't much benefit to growing your legs 5 inches if your ass and hips increase just as much. Repeat, because I want you guys to process this. There isn't much benefit to growing your legs 5 inches if your ass and hips increase just as much. Okay, bodybuilding is about aesthetics. Show me a big squatter and I'll show you a big ass. Focus on that. Show me a big squatter and I'll show you a big ass. And hips a majority of the time. If you want quad development with a boxy ass and hips, hack squats are a better option than regular squats. All right, so let's dissect this a little bit. First off, my first knee-jerk reaction was this is hypertrophy. Right, so this is 2021 Faz. Everyone is obsessed with ass size, right? Everyone is obsessed with ass size. So there isn't any benefit to growing your legs if your butt is growing. Sometimes I feel like this is a Twilight Zone quote. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a lot to pick apart here. But if we just start with that, the whole idea that you shouldn't be trying to grow your glutes, that's ridiculous. If you look at it from the perspective of the modern day, whether you're just looking at Gen Pop social media, everybody wants a well-toned big ass, right? Everybody wants glutes. Like whether you're a man or a woman, you want a nice round shape back there. You don't want just a pancake. So that doesn't make any sense. Then from a competitive bodybuilding standpoint, for those of you guys who are interested in that, everyone knows it's all about shredded glutes these days. Like you can't get on stage without shredded glutes. So from every possible angle you come from, it doesn't make any sense. We might say, well, Skip is like a hardcore bodybuilder, coach type of person. Well, it doesn't make sense from that point of view either. But just from the average guy or girl on the street, everybody wants shapely glutes. Am I wrong?
I was gonna mention the whole bodybuilding thing. Like Skip is in a bodybuilding box, and the average individual, like outside of the 400, 500 people in any given country that are really into competitive bodybuilding, like actually compete, right? At the top levels of their sport or, whatever. The average individual isn't worried about, even if it were true and even if it wasn't a concern, the average individual isn't worrying about growing their butt too big. I mean, the average individual that comes to you or I is concerned about how do I get my butt bigger? Yeah. So that's kind of the bottom line there. So we have to kind of toss aside the bodybuilding-ish, break down that bodybuilding-ish box, the aesthetic stuff. Now, this is an interesting point. And I'm going to I have some thoughts on this. Show me a big squatter and I'll show you a big ass. I'm going to ignore the hips part of this because I've never seen a big squatter with big hips. Like, I don't even know what, I've never looked at anybody with muscle and said, boy, your hips are out of proportion. So I don't know what that even means. So I'm just going to set that aside.
Yeah, that's a really strange point that you put in there, like big hips. Since the hips maybe grow out to the sides a little bit, but they don't, there's not a massive amount of hypertrophy potential there. So what are we talking about here? Is Skip just saying that you're going to squat and your bone size is going to get bigger? Like, how does that work? Like, what are we talking? That doesn't make any sense.
No, Fats, have you ever met anybody in all the years that said, man, I squatted so much, now my hips, like a man, my hips are too wide.
Yeah. I can't get through doors. My hip bone structure has just gotten double the size. It's ridiculous. So we never saw Tom Platz with these massive hips, did we? So yeah, it doesn't make any sense from that point of view. So the glutes thing doesn't make any sense. But also, one thing we've not covered from the glutes yet is how much hypertrophy are people getting, in the glutes from squatting?
Well, I'm just going to mention this because I saw Paul Carter mention a couple weeks ago that all the years of heavy lifting, heavy squatting, and he still had a pancake ass. Now, you might think he's an anomaly, but Paul and I put together, we have over 50 years of squatting, heavy squatting. And I have a pancake ass. My wife makes fun of my ass because it's small and flat. And I've always done high bar, right? So you have two experienced coaches, lifters like me and Paul Carter with pancake ass. I don't think we're anomalies, Faz. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm programming in a lot more hip hinge variations, actual glute bridges, specific glute work, lunges, Bulgarian split squats, all that kind of stuff to grow the glutes. Squats generally don't seem to be enough to grow really big glutes. And I think that's probably because the limiting factor in a squat is the quads, right? As with any good exercise, it's like the limiting factor in pull-ups, for example, should probably be your back, right? So I think the issue with squats is not that they don't work your glutes, but at the advanced level where you're really going to see big gains in the glutes, they're probably not the limiting factor, so they're not being pushed to the hilt. Like, no one's saying they're not activated when you squat. Sure they are. If they weren't, you'd fall over, but I don't think they're the prime mover. I think it's quads, so that's why.
So you mentioned a quote before we got on air, Faz, about Olympic lifters. Could you touch on that?
Yeah. So one of the comments on that page was by a buddy of mine, and he said, "Ever see weightlifters and think their quads are outshone by their hips?" No, me neither. Which I thought was great, because you don't look at Olympic lifters and all think, "Oh wow, look at their hips and hamstrings and glutes. They're way too big." You think Olympic lifters, you think quads, like they have ridiculous quads.
Yeah, I've never looked at an Olympic lifter and said, those are some juicy hips. I mean, usually the quads are the thing. Obviously, the quads are usually the thing that stands out.
Yeah.
And, the glutes are always, I'm not really staring at their glutes, no offense to anybody that does. I mean, but I never look at somebody and say, wow, those are really overdeveloped glutes. I mean, it's not something that happens. So no. I guess the bottom line here, Faz, is I have two questions for you. How does something like this even exist in the modern era? And what's the take home for the average lifter who wants some big, juicy booty gains and now is afraid that they'll grow too rapidly with squats?
Well, I think that's the key point, isn't it? The modern era. I think Skip's maybe a throwback from a time long ago where it seems like we're kind of devolving into the era of back in the late 90s and early 2000s when it was a case of, squat is all posterior. Do you remember those? Do you remember those days, Steve? Like, if you want to build your squat, you got to do more like posterior work. If you want to build your bench press, you got to build up your back. If you, weird stuff like that. It feels like we're devolving into that era. I thought we were past that, but no. If you want to build big quads, you're going to be looking at squats. The ass and hips just aren't going to be growing massively from those areas. If you really want to hypertrophy the ass, you're probably going to need to do some specific work for that because it's not going to be the limiting factor when it comes to squatting.
A bottom line for me, for anybody that wants big juicy booty gains and that wants some big quads, they want well-rounded lower body. it's the way I program for my clients. You got squats, you got leg press, you got hack squats, you got lunges, you got Bulgarian split squats. You got a wide variety of stuff in the mix that is going to target your quads and your glutes. So have a wide variety of exercises. Make sure you have some leg exercises in there, like lunges or reverse lunges or Bulgarian split squats that are good for the butt as well. So just a reminder, guys, if you head over to Faz's latest video and post a comment, subscribe to his channel, you get a chance to win a free t-shirt. Thanks for joining me, Faz.
All right, guys.
Hey, just a teaser. Next week, we're going to talk about high bar versus low bar squatting. We have not compared notes on this, so that's going to be an interesting video.
Yes.
All right. See you next week. Thanks, Faz.
Take care, folks.